Elio De Angelis, who's in second place, and Michele Alboreto is still in fourth position. So the battle for second, third, fourth is a pretty sharp one. De Angelis. Speeds of this course vary at the top extreme from just under 200 miles an hour to the slowest bend on the course, which is a second gear at about 100 miles an hour. There is Keke Rosberg, and again Alain Prost is having a go to try and get past Elio De Angelis, but he's going to have to get it, and he's not going to do it because De Angelis barely moves across his front in order to get the right line for the right-hander at the end of the course. Well, Stefan Johansson started this race in a Ferrari. We expected him to be starting in a Toleman, and we expected his teammates in the Toleman team to be John Watson. Well, Stefan was deemed to change to Ferrari. John Watson is here, but not driving for Ferrari, and here he is to Toleman, and here he is to tell us why.
Well, Mary, the situation for Toleman is the same as it was in Brazil, and that is there are no tyres available yet to the team. After the Brazil Grand Prix, there was a fairly positive indication that Pirelli could supply tyres for at least one car for Estoril. But by the time all the teams returned to Europe and Pirelli had a chance to look at their production position, they discovered they wouldn't be able to supply tyres for Estoril. So now we have to wait again and see what the situation may be for Imola in 2 weeks from now.
John, I gather the gossip on the grapevine as we watch De Angelis and Prost still fighting for that second position is that things are looking better for Imola. Now, is that so?
There's been so much gossip in the pit lane this weekend. I don't know what's the truth and what's story and what's myth. We're hoping that we will get a positive indication for Imola. I would certainly be very pleased to start there.
And as you say that, Alain Prost makes yet another try to get past Elio De Angelis, who again will have nothing of it. And you probably saw from the caption that Patrick Tambay has now moved up ahead of Derek Warwick and is into sixth position in the Renault.
Yes, that was an interesting piece of information seeing that there, because Alain Prost was quicker out of the final turn onto the start-finish straight, came out alongside De Angelis, and De Angelis outpowered and accelerated him. So once again, whilst the McLaren is such a wonderful chassis, they still aren't super quick in a straight line, and I suppose one thing that the McLaren drivers have to work hard at is that, and that is, of course, getting past other people, because when you're slower than the other car on the straight, it does make it very difficult.
The chap that you saw walking away fleetingly there was Gerhard Berger, the Arrows driver, Thierry Boutsen's teammate, and Boutsen is in 11th position. And we are now on lap 17. Niki Lauda that we look at, the reigning world champion, is in 5th position, still in a strong place because anything could happen. There goes Tambay. There is Martini, who has rejoined the race, being passed and lapped for probably the umpteenth time by world champion Niki Lauda. Martini, I think, very much out of his depth. And close up behind Niki Lauda is Patrick Tambay. So Patrick Tambay is starting a challenge for 5th position to try to take it from number 1, the world champion Niki Lauda. Into the pits comes Nelson Piquet in his Brabham, coasting. That's not driving. He's rolling in. So have we got a retirement from Nelson Piquet to join Francois Hainaut, who has already gone out of the race, and Martin Brundle passes Thierry Boutsen. Now Brundle in the Tyrrell with the DFY Ford engine is driving a beautifully balanced car, and the rain will actually help him because he's only got about 450 horsepower under his foot only, whereas the others have got about 750 horsepower, and it's obviously easier to drive the lower powered car in these very wet and slippery conditions, and Martin Brundle is making the most of them. So is Stefan Beloff that we saw out of the pits in the newly sponsored Brabham goes Nelson Piquet to rejoin the race, and I suspect in effect to get in some more testing mileage. They've had an enormous amount of that, but now he's going to have some more. Lafitte into the pits in the Ligier. And De Angelis and Prost closing up on Stefan Beloff in the Tyrrell with the Ford DFY engine. Now you will see how the superior power of the turbo cars enables them to blast past. And that's the Johansson off the course in the Ferrari. What appalling conditions. And let us not forget, because we haven't seen him for a long time, Ayrton Senna, who is quite calmly increasing his lead lap by lap. He's now just under 18 seconds ahead of Elio De Angelis. There is Alain Prost in fourth position. Still Michele Alboreto in third position, Prost. Still Michele Alboreto in fourth position. Still Patrick Tambay in fifth as Keke Rosberg goes through. And here is De Angelis lapping Beloff, followed by Boutsen. De Angelis moves across quickly to take up the line for the corner that follows, and Prost was not able to get past, so that will give De Angelis the opportunity to break away a bit, as into the pits now comes Stefan Johansson in the Ferrari. Now, is Prost going to be able to get past Beloff here? The answer is yes, because Beloff runs wide and lets him through. Lap 19, 70-lap race. The tyres off Johansson's Ferrari, new ones going on under the direction of engineer Tomani, who is Johansson's race engineer. And now De Angelis is passing Baldi. He's closing up on Thierry Boutsen. He seems to be dealing with the traffic extremely well, and Alain Prost is not getting the brakes here. He's going to have to fight very hard to close up again to the man in the white helmet, Elio De Angelis. And they're having trouble getting on the left front of Stefan Johansson's car. He's having a pretty fraught Portuguese Grand Prix meeting because he had considerable troubles in the first day of practice. First of all, he had to go out in Alboreto's car, only to find his feet were much bigger than Alboreto's, and he quite literally couldn't operate the pedals. Then he had a mechanical problem. The gearbox of his car went, and he had to go out in last year's car. And as Martini comes into the pits yet again, Johansson finally qualified in his race car yesterday, and Mauro Baldi has spun off again. And that is one of the Williams cars. I couldn't see whether it was Mansell or Rosberg. It's Rosberg, and look at his car stuck in the middle of the circuit.
Yes, they'll have to manhandle that off the track because it looked to be somewhat unfit. I think he's hit the barrier. You see just back at the beginning of the curbing there where the car went into the barrier, so the wheels are a little bit awry, and it's probably sitting on its tummy.
And Prost has dealt with the traffic superbly, actually. He's now right back with Elio De Angelis, fighting for second position on lap 20, and the race order remains Senna, 21 seconds now ahead of De Angelis, who's got Alain Prost here just behind him in third position. In fourth place, and now De Angelis is coming up to Winkelhock in the green and white Ram. We look down on Keke Rosberg's stalled car, which has got Alio's Ram beside it, and Johansson is still in the pits as yet again Prost must be fuming in the cockpit. He knows he's faster than De Angelis, and De Angelis is a very, very difficult man to pass when he doesn't want to be passed.
That's right. Prost's been attacking him for over 10 laps now, and he got right inside him then, but still De Angelis is a hard man. But he's driving fairly. When you're holding second place in the Grand Prix, you don't give it away. But and the rain, incidentally, is now coming down a good bit harder. We now have really quite hard rain, and you can see from the picture that the spray is increasing and the track's really getting very wet. And this is not going to help Prost as he follows, because visibility is beginning to get really bad. Now, I don't know what they're doing about that car. I would have thought they've got enough pairs of hands there and enough muscle to manhandle it off the track. They're not very heavy, the Grand Prix cars, for obvious reasons. And they've really got to move that, because that's in a very dangerous place.
And I'm quite sure that if they were British marshals, they would be up further along the course, giving earlier warning to the competitors that Rosberg's car is stuck there, because De Angelis only just missed it. when he came through, seeing it for the first time. And of course, having to suddenly change direction on a wet surface like